Hello, everyone. It's Dean's meeting for July 26th, 2023, and we've got the topic today of tree resin and an expert on the topic and family history in Mathew Pruitt, who's in Missouri right now. And we've had several discussions on tree resin, but by way of introduction, I'd like to ask if we could all just acknowledge that this man has more experience in this field than perhaps anybody on the planet. And that he has been using it in a variety of different ways. So it was my pleasure to, of course, talk to him about the variety of different uses that we have here. But if you could just give us a quick, and I know you've done this a lot, Mathew, but a quick background and introduce yourself to the group on what you offer and how long you've been doing this, please.
Well, I'm 5 generations now. My grandfather is the one that started the tree resin, and just lost the video.
You'll get video going off when you're talking to help the video stream for you. Okay.
Okay. So we have gathered resin all around the world. We've had people we've trained to gather resins. The resins that we use are ancient heart pocket resins. They're not sap resins or pulp red wood resins. They are ancient heart pocket resins that formed in the ancient trees anywhere from 350 to 4,000 or 5,000 years ago, 6,000 years ago in some cases. So they're very, very pure, and they are very dense in different terpenes because they're not exposed to the light and the air and rain and so forth, the elements. They maintain a much higher purity and concentration of the terpenes, and that is where we get a lot of the healing properties and antiseptic properties is from the different terpenes that are in the tree resins. They come from a variety of different trees. I won't mention specifics because of what the government does with the information they collect. So we've had issues in the past with giving too much information and having it used against us, and making it impossible to gather these very rare and very, very beneficial resins.
Is your website under construction now? I just want to let the group know that right off the bat.
Sarah is she's working on that. Our other website is just gone. It's just, we have no explanation. It's just gone.
Okay. So if they want to order, they'll make that phone call that and they can contact Sarah. I put that in the email. So I just wanted to make sure everybody knows that they can get these resins for themselves, and
yes,
that the way to do it is old fashioned. We call.
or you can write me a letter. To just send it to Mathew, care of Post Office Box 298, Eminence. That's EMINENCE, Missouri, near 65466.
Yeah, I put that in the email as well. So thank you very much for that. Okay, please continue.
These resins are not your typical resins, as most people know resin to be formed on either the pine cones or the needles or the cambium layer. A lot of people will scar the tree, that is, cut the bark off down to the cambium layer, and then let the tree weep resin. It's a good resin. It's beneficial and it has terpenes in it. However, it's not very very pure and not very potent. It's not very strong in comparison to the ancient heart pocket resins. And the sap resins are recently formed. So with all the pesticides and herbicides and toxins and chemtrails and all the poisoning of man, they're going to contain a lot of that in them, where the heart pocket resins don't, because they have been formed in the tree hundreds, if not thousands of years ago, and have been preserved just like honey in its comb. It stays good basically forever, as long as it is in that sealed heart pocket.
And
There are, go ahead.
yeah, and I might just add that it's very, very difficult to locate, even though you have some indicators, markers, and experience in finding a tree that would have such a mark of the heart pocket in there. So it's been quite a while since you actually have found a source of.
About about 20 years ago was the last we were able to get, and the fellow that had it, he actually had trees that he had tapped into a heart pocket, a very large one, and had been slowly gathering resin from it over years. So it actually was an old find that he was still able to collect some from, because it was very remote, and he had to carry containers into it to get it out. And so he would go in with a couple of buckets and get a couple of buckets of resin at a time. And that was the last resin that we were able to get. All the rest of our.
So if I may, just to make sure that I'm understanding, you're speaking to, and I'm paraphrasing here, the purity of the resin itself, how it's harvested, and if it gets to this cambium layer, you're able to get more of the sap, but it's not as potent. But we also talk about medically about the concentration and purity, and you've brought both of those to light, and that this is the most potent resin on the planet. Is that not correct?
To my knowledge, we've dealt with resins all around the world. To my knowledge, there is no other resin that is as potent or as pure as the resins that we are using. We used to have 27 different resins that we used, and now we're down to 12. We only have 12 different resins left. The rest of them we ran out of, or just couldn't find any more. We did have an issue where some of our resin was destroyed, and unfortunately that was the 13th. We had 13 different resins here a few years back, but we lost the last of one of the very rare kinds, and we've been unable to find any more. There are a few places around the world that I would like to go and explore. It takes a lot of money and a lot of time. You can look for years before you find one of these pockets. They're that rare.
So with that being said, now that you have possession of a supply of this resin, I would like to, if I may, go into some of the historical uses of it, because it isn't just you and your family that had discovered this. This was an ancient discovery, wasn't it? Can you give a little history there, please?
Well, it for those that are religious, you can look right there in the Bible, in all the ancient scriptures. Every indigenous tribe or people around the world that we have looked into, every single one of them used tree resin in some form, of some kind. They may have differed in the kinds or the uses, but they all used tree resins. And the most common uses were antiseptic, being antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral. It helps detox the body. It's very high in natural plant sulfur, which is MSM. That's where MSM comes from, is from tree resins. How be it though that it's not from the ancient heart pocket resins, it comes from the pulpwood industry of the coastal pines. It's a byproduct of the paper industry. So DMSO also comes from tree resin. Of course, your turpentine obviously comes from tree resin. So then
So
it's
is there a, I get that the historical use is antiseptic, and it's very hard to work with, and it's very sticky, as you might expect. I mean, it's the stickiest stuff. I mean, it's worse than Gorilla Glue. But but the way that you've used it has been mixing it with other oils like coconut oil and olive oil to thin it out so that the penetration, if it's used topically for, say, cuts or insect bites or foot fungus, has been one that I used it for. I had toenail fungus on my left toe, and it disappeared after 2 or 3 weeks. It started to change color, but I did it consistently. And, we older guys, we do have this issue with nail fungus. It just happens. It's part of our,
old. Who you calling old? I'm getting
yeah.
younger.
Exactly. Well, I'm older and older, but never grow old, Mathew. Thank you. So in any case, this topical application that he has, and I'll just briefly say how I used it. In his recommendation, use the thinner version of it that's mixed with olive oil for faster penetration, and then
Okay.
you use the salve, which it is layered, which is suspended, which is a slower absorption. So you have two layers of it. You have the fast and then the slower absorption. And when it hits the nail bed, it destroys the fungus. It's quite amazing. And these are not, things that we would typically think of. We're thinking, in terms of jock itch or foot fungus, our athlete's foot, some people call it, the lay people call it, and that's fine. But what is the source of it? And what I have been experimenting with is taking it internally. So I have been taking one of his, the cocoa resin, and
Super
that, yeah, pardon me?
super cocoa resin. There's a difference.
The super cocoa resin. And I've been taking it internally at night. And I've been also using it in combination with Shilajit, which we're experimenting using a salt. And it's been my discovery that the amount of the terpenes that are in the super cocoa resin are so concentrated that you have to dilute it, otherwise it would burn. There's that effect that'll, like, so I rub it around my gums and then I swallow it, and then and of course after taking it over now 2 weeks, because you did send me those samples, I have noticed three things that I'd like to bring attention to in terms of my subjective discovery. Number one, I smell better. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I like the way I smell. I have these, I use frankincense, for example. I like that as a tree resin, and we grow pinyon around here in my mountains. Pinyon resin is all around, so I love the smell of these. And when it rains and you get that smell of those trees, it's just the most, that's one of the main reasons I wanted to live here, because when I drove through here, I started to smell after a rain, and I said, this is euphoric. This is one of the most wonderful smells that I have ever experienced. And when it was raining, I kept taking deep breaths. And what does that do? It goes down into the lungs and you spark life, right? So here I am taking internally, as Mathew's had a lot of experience taking it externally, internally, probably more internally than anybody I've ever heard of. But I've been taking it internally and I'm smelling better, meaning I like the way I smell. Now, the second one is that the elimination, you can occasionally go through stages of stress where it affect your digestion, but my elimination is regular. I have noticed also that my cravings for food have been less of sugar, right? Because as you know, the anti-candida properties, right, in the terpenes, anti-parasitic properties, that you won't be craving food that you shouldn't be eating. So that's my number two in the last 2 weeks. I'm more subtly aware of my cravings. I can eat these things, but I don't gravitate towards them. And number three is my skin. And I don't know if anybody's noticed lately, but the sun has been very intense, very hot, and it's burning because of the UVB and even the UVC that's coming through the our ozone layer, all right, our atmosphere, and we are experiencing a lot of burns in people that are exposed. And what I was going to ask, one of the questions I had for Mathew in regards to sun exposure, if there's any known benefit to taking it internally for skin burns. But I know it's anti-parasitic and anti-fungal, antibacterial, all of these sorts of things. But I noticed that my skin has been more resistant to burning in a subtle way. It's not like when I'm in the sun, I swim regularly, I hike, I'm outside. I have to limit my exposure, of course, but the sun has been more intense. So I want to make a direct question in regards to, can you comment on any of the three things that I just mentioned as far as beneficial to my initial use of it?
We have used the tree resin in either the salve or in the super cocoa resin for sunburns for a very long time. The best thing you can do if you get a bad sunburn is to, as soon as you get home, hopefully before the sun goes down, because it burns more after the sun goes down for some reason, is go get in a cool shower, as cool as you can stand it, and that will suck the heat out of the burn. And then rinse yourself at least 3 times with vinegar, whether it be apple cider vinegar or distilled vinegar. It really doesn't matter. The distilled vinegar obviously is cheaper. Wash yourself 3 times with that and rinse off. And then when you get out of the shower, just blot yourself dry. Don't wipe with a towel. And once you're dry, air dry for a few minutes, so you make sure that you're very dry. And then just lather the whole burnt area with super cocoa resin, and it will most likely not even peel. If you were burnt to the place where you were almost blistered, then it probably will peel, but it'll be like a week down the road, and it'll be very slow peel. It won't be a very aggressive, fast, peeling, and you won't have the slough off that you do with a regular untreated burn. As far as preventing a burn, I haven't intentionally tried that, because I start very soon in the very early part of the year and get a lot of sun exposure. So I'm naturally tan before summer gets here, when it's hot and the sun is very dense. So I don't really try not to burn. I don't try not to tan. I try to get a tan so that I don't burn.
So the second one, okay. So my smell. Can you? I don't know. It's not a cologne. I get it, but it smells so good that it's not like you want to smell other and than what you're, I just wondered if I'm crazy or
No, no,
if
I,
that's,
I, I used to use the Super Pav Salve or the Super Cocoa Resin as a deodorant. When I first started changing my diet and my life habits, um, I still stunk. Like I stunk. Now I don't stink. I can take one shower a week and sweat and work hard all day, and I still don't stink. I'll just by a week, I'll maybe start to smell a little bit, but not anything like I used to because I don't have that toxicity built up in me. And your body absorbing this, and you taking it internally, both will balance your system and get rid of the candida overgrowth, and therefore you will get rid of the fungus, and you will naturally start to smell better. You'll get to where your sweat doesn't stink like a
Mhm.
rancid animal.
Putrefying. Yeah, I know. I get it. Well, what that, and that's part of the regular elimination. So that ties into that. And if you could then just do another, just recap of how you've used it in the past. I want practical applications for people using your resin because there is a lot of knowledge. Our group is, of course, aware of the use of terpenes, and and there's I'm trying to remember her name. Dr. Daniels speaks of just terpene use for parasites as a regular routine, but I like this better. And in other words, if I'm around a lot of animals, for example, uh, horses, cats, dogs, animal husbandry. If I'm around animals in a farm or something that where I'm exposed to these things, I want a regular parasite treatment. And I've been in the past using diatomaceous earth in a tablespoon of warm water at night as a preventative because uh, it's very high in silica, right? So you've got the fissures of the diatomaceous earth breaking, slicing, and dicing parasites that enter your digestive tract, and it also is highly negatively charged. So it is a very good preventative. So my question to you is have you had people that have come to you as a matter of treating on a maintenance level internally and of course externally for different skin conditions, but internally as a preventative, like I've used diatomaceous earth in the past?
Well, I don't treat, cure, prevent anything. I simply share the knowledge that we have been blessed with, and that our customers and family have passed on and shared with us. Um, the resins are good for just about everything that goes wrong with you because it literally heals the DNA. And as we know, the everything that is wrong with us, no matter what disease we have, what condition we have, what injury we have, it is all recorded in the DNA. And so when you can heal at the DNA level and the cellular level and the antiseptic level, all three at the same time, it provides a level of healing that is unmatched by anything else. Um, the pure resin is very effective at overcoming MRSA, overcoming brown recluse spider bites and other poisonous bites. Um, uh, it's it'll take care of just about any infection. Um,
Can you speak to the issue of the DNA a little bit? Do you have some? I'm sorry I didn't get my video on, but do you have any experience with articles or past history that you have anything that is connected to that the DNA repair?
well, in someone could probably find it. Years ago, we found a an article. I don't recall where it was, what it was from, or anything. It's been years ago. We had it saved on one of our computers that the system crashed intentionally. It was crashed to the point that professionals could not figure out how to get in the information from it. It was completely wiped out, completely gone. So we lost that information with a lot of the other studies. The government has done many studies on tree resins. So if you go looking, you can find a lot of that information. They've actually patented a lot of the different things, just like they do with everything. They go and find what these things are good for, and they patent it so that nobody can use it for that or sell it for that. Like they did the word organic and so many other things. So
yes, it's been bastardized. We in this group are quite aware of that. So okay, we get that. So what you're saying is that the data's out there. We just have to dig a little bit on our own.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Our old website did have some on there, but not a lot of it, because my son never got a lot of it put on there. And like I said, we lost, the last 60 years of information that we've been collecting, and thousands of testimonials, and we lost all that. It was completely gone. We've had, in the last 4 or 5 years, we've had at least a half a dozen computers wiped out. Just, completely fried.
We've all had our own challenges with being attacked, let's just say, and I myself have my own history with that. But be that as it is, we're going to keep working at spreading the information. So what I'll do, as a matter of courtesy to my group, is what I find when I dig around on that DNA issue, because right now this is a huge problem, because we have been literally attacked. Our DNA has been attacked by this S protein, and we're looking for methods or ways of correcting the damage, which is, as I had talked about in my last meeting with Dr. Roscoe, when I went to the frontline doctors meeting in Fort Worth, Texas, where the frontline doctors have their annual meeting. The whole topic was on this S protein, which is, of course, being coded in our body through the messenger RNA to the DNA. And if our body is continuing to produce this toxic S protein, then and the DNA becomes infected, then transfection to other cells and bacteria, like with the E. coli, occurs, where we got major toxicity issues involved with DNA being corrupted, okay, or being altered. And so this is a very important point that we're working to understand the mechanism. We think we're about 3 years out of understanding the depth and what possible corrective measures can be done. Currently, we're doing maintenance programs, and it's very hard to detoxify this protein, as you might guess. But it's and one of my targets is to introduce the substances that prevent the S protein from making a significant impression or change in our body's chemistry that causes it to break down and putrefy and all these horrible. In fact, I mentioned smell earlier, right? That it smell better. Well, people are complaining that people that have been quote unquote vaccinated are smelling like the kitty litter box, or like dryer sheets, or like some just nasty sewer. I mean, they're getting all kinds of different smells being on the bus, on the train, in their workplace, and so forth. So the body's breaking down. It's highly catabolic. It's having, and I don't want to go too much into this, but the detoxification pathways are being shut down by this S protein. Okay. And what I am suspecting, and I'm already experiencing my recovery time being on this tree resin internally at night. It's one of these unique things that when I'm a healthy person and I raise the bar with something, it impresses me, then that's a rare thing. That is something that does not happen very often because usually when athletes are operating at a very high level, right, and they'll try to boost their performance by taking some amino acid support, for example, or doing some herb therapy and so forth. These are all pieces. But what we're finding, and Sam and I have been exploring this with the use of Shilajit, is that it enhances the effect of anything we're taking. That's beneficial, of course. But in a case, and I want to bring this up and see if you're comfortable with this, is that you've been able to take this, because we sent you some of the Shilajit, and you've been taking the tree resin for how many years? 40 plus years?
Oh yeah, yeah. I was using tree resin when I was a baby. They were putting it on me. So I mean,
Okay, so
50. So I've got 50 years of resin.
okay, so your body chemistry has changed as a result of taking this internally. Most everybody here is not taking it regularly. I personally only took it occasionally in another form before I found out you had your resin available. So what we found is that to raise the bar of uptake or assimilation, we need the building blocks, and the fulvic acid, the mineral structures in Shilajit, and the humic acid. That combination causes the body to increase its oxygen delivery system. Okay, in other words, it carries the oxygen to its destination. This S protein, on the other hand, greatly reduces that function as well as arrest it completely in destroying the heme. Okay.
Interrupt you just for a second.
Yes, please go ahead.
So the element about the resin that is so critically important to what you're speaking of right now is the MSM, the natural plant sulfur that is in the tree resin, because that is the element that allows the oxygen that is present to pass through the barrier of the cell. Every cell in your body has a membrane around it, and the oxygen can't pass through it and be absorbed by the cell and then be deposited throughout the body to the other cells. So you take in air into your lungs that has oxygen in it, and your red blood cells traveling through your lungs pick up that oxygen and then deposit it to the cells as it circulates through the body. Well, that process can't happen without the natural plant sulfur being present. And we're all low in that natural plant sulfur because of the herbicides, pesticides, and the poisoning of man. We are not getting the amount of sulfur that we need out of our food. We normally would get it from our food, but we don't get enough of it. And so our bodies are starving for oxygen. And this is where our health problems stem from. Lack of proper oxygen weakens the body. Now these other things can flourish. So anyway, I just wanted to bring attention to the plant sulfur part.
The MSM, as you know, is available nutritional supplements that are out there in their form, but it's been processed. Okay.
Right, exactly. Ours is in its natural form, and it has the other things with it. I think there's some significance to the fact that the terpenes are available in the same substance as the natural plant sulfur, because your plant sulfur and your terpenes are passing to the blood-brain barrier. The tree resin actually is one of the substances that passes to the blood-brain barrier. And so you can also get detoxification, and you can also fight the parasites that way, where a lot of things that will normally get rid of parasites cannot, are not effective because they can't get to the blood-brain barrier.
Now,
Where
Dr. Glenn Wilcox is a parasitologist and OMD, Oriental Medical Doctor. He's a friend of mine. He's going to listen to the recording here. But this speaks to a very important issue, because we can treat the gut parasites, but so many of them are, most of them, in fact, 80%, it's been estimated, are in the blood. Okay. And you mentioning that this tree resin goes through the blood-brain barrier. That's
from the information we found, it's within 30 minutes. It can be almost immediate, but within about 30 minutes, it should be passed through the blood-brain barrier. And you can actually, when you take it internally, you probably know what I'm talking about. You can actually feel it. You can, I'm sensitive enough that even after taking it for years and sampling tens of thousands of containers of resin, because that's one of the things I do, is I taste test it. That's one of the tests that I do. So I've taste tested literally tens of thousands of containers of resin. So you will feel it. You can actually feel it, almost like if you get into cold water, or you step into a real hot place. You come out of the house into 100+ degree weather. You can feel that circulation, and you can feel the lymph moving in the body and so forth. Well, you can feel the tree resin working throughout the
that's a very good thing you mentioned, because, and we have some questions already from the group, but I'll get to that in just a moment. But you mentioned something about sense or feeling the changes in your body when you start to take it, because what very often happens when, and we're very interested in talking about how we can effectively detoxify, right? We're taking Epsom salts baths, or doing herbs that bind, and doing things like activated charcoal and all these kinds of things. There's a lot of people right now who are just begging to be informed on how to detoxify effectively. And unfortunately, they're doing some things that are just absurdly ridiculous. I mean, people are taking nicotine, but it's a vasoconstrictor, right? But they're thinking that's going to eliminate the S protein. They're grossly misinformed. And this is part of the problem is weeding out misinformation from really applicable information. That's one of the reasons I liked the meeting at the Frontline Doctors, because these are doctors. There were over 400 of us that were there, and we were all dialed into the same thing, is that we're taking all our background information, levels of expertise, and then trying to make some sense of what is actually changed in our body that is causing these horrible things, like cancers, like going into turbo cancer. We're seeing multiple inflammatory disorders, including myocarditis and so forth. So what we need is some answers in terms of opening up this detox pathway that are simplistic, and a lot of people can't afford some of the blood filtration techniques. Dr. Roscoe offers that. The EBU treatment, for example, he offers in his Florida clinic, and it's effective. Okay, but it's expensive, and not everybody can get this. So what we're going to do is, one of the questions is how it's taken orally, and I'll tell you how I've done it, but you're the man to ask about oral use, but because you've taken a lot of it. But I want to make sure that that issue was addressed, because what is happening right now is so confusing in terms of what your body needs to repair this damaged blood, right? The iron is probably the biggest unspoken issue right now. It's becoming more and more aware by the doctors that I've been talking to. But the the iron in the heme has been liberated. It's been removed from the heme, and the oxygen leaves at the same time. So now we have free floating iron, oxidative stress. We have dirty blood, right? And when the oxygen oxidizes with the iron, it rusts. Okay, and one of the nice things about doing the Shilajit is it improves this oxygen the respiration of the cell in the mitochondria. Right, you got the oxygen going in and out of the cell membrane. The permeability is improved because the strength and the charge of the ions that are fortifying the blood provide that mechanism for working properly. But to get to one particular question that had puzzled me for going on 3 weeks now, when you first told me when you were taking the Shilajit, is that you had a reaction, a kind of allergic reaction. And I hope you're okay with me talking about this, because we're a learned group and we want to all participate together on this. So thank you if you're allowing me to do that.
Yes,
what I've noticed is that when people are taking the Shilajit and they've taken something as potent as the tree resin, as long as they have, with the high terpene levels, their body can have an allergic reaction. You know, we're talking about thousands of people taking Shilajit without any reaction at all. But there's a small percentage, like a few people out of 1,000 maybe, that may get this allergic reaction. All right. Now I'm speaking to Shilajit, not the tree resin at the moment, but it's going to tie into this in just a moment. So what is an allergic reaction? Well, if your body has a response to a foreign protein where it's reacting to a toxin or a substance that your body does not recognize as itself, right? Then you're going to initiate the immune response. And I'm speaking in general terms here, but interleukin, we're talking ACE2 receptors, all these beautiful things that our body does to manage toxins, right? Inflammation and toxins. So what I am of the opinion, after all of my studying of using Shilajit and now, of course, using tree resin, is that people will have a chemistry that they can't detoxify fast enough. And it ends up in other words, the oxygen metabolism is not in proper balance. See, it's a very synchronized system we have, right? Where the timing of our detoxification has to come in at the proper rest and repair, our proper waking time, our proper hydration. It's very well synchronized. So it's my understanding, based on the science of what's involved with this, is that your reaction after taking just 2 drops, and you can confirm this for me, after just 2 drops, your skin reacted to the
well, it didn't react right away. It took it was about 5 days in, if I recall correctly. I had been taking 2 drops twice a day for about 5 days when I had a hive reaction on my left arm. And then the next day, after taking it twice the next day, I had a couple of little strange little like almost like a blister form. And then when I scratched it, it kind of weeped and made a little like a grain of sand like on my face and a couple on my other arm and a couple on my shoulders. So then I, of course, stopped taking it for a few days. And then we switched, and I've taken some different stuff, and then had
more diluted form of it.
Yes, more diluted form. And then I still had some itching and stuff, and so I slacked off on that for a bit, and I'm getting ready to start again. The itching and stuff like that is pretty much all gone away. I have just a slight little bit of it here and there, but
Okay,
I'm going to start
taking it at an increased dose. Okay, now this is what I'm talking about in regards to the detox pathways. Okay, now it's my opinion that in your situation, I don't have any other case studies that have told me this, because you've been using tree resin for a long time. Okay, and your body's full of terpenes and a lot of MSM. Okay, you've been doing it a long time. It's in that way. So these detox pathways have adapted to his body chemistry, right? So, and when we talk about enhancing a substance, let's say I'm taking Glucola, or I'm taking ginkgo biloba for oxygen support, right? 24% effective ingredient in ginkgo, and I'm taking Shilajit on top of that. That's a supercharge. Now, your reaction was allergic. So if people that are doing Shilajit and this resin get this kind of reaction that you get, that's the very thing you do. You stop. And then you introduce it very slowly into the body, because what you're doing is you're doing chemistry changes that would normally be in the 1,000 people that didn't have a reaction to, would normally be taken in. But there's a complexity in the detox pathways that are changing because you've adapted to your environment that allowed you to, function without, getting fungal infections or infections of a variety of different types, and bacteria. You're not getting colds and flus and things like this. Well, that's an immune response that is, I say, tied into a kind of balancing out of sorts, where the body, if you put too much into the blood, it will reject it. Your blood can only take so much, which is why the oxygen metabolism is so important here. You have to clean the blood and you have to fortify the blood. They can't be done at the same time. That's what I'm talking about. You do them in different intervals. It's like a sine wave. You reach the point to where you're detoxifying, and then you nourish, and you're not detoxifying. You're bringing in new nutrients to rebuild. So what you do, in a general sense, is you take a break. If you are one of those people that reacts in the way like you did, and you stop, and the body chemistry will gradually adjust to these nutrients that are necessary. We've even got 81 plus mineral structures in, at least, I mean, it probably varies from different Shilajit, but these mineral structures are, to the blood, a kind, you call it super cocoa resin. All right, this is supercharging the blood to take on these nutrients. Okay, and I don't want this to be about Shilajit. I want this to be about the detox pathways that will cause a reaction if your body is one of those types that have this unique chemistry that causes the rash on the skin, or or even the weeping thing, the weeping blister, whatever. That's just an allergic reaction. But I wanted to simplify that for you, because you're going to be able to explore just how, because I had another person locally here that couldn't take that the Shilajit at the high any dose. She reacted too, but I told her to take it at the lower, the diluted form, 750 parts per million, and she didn't react to it. and you're not reacting to one drop. But I just wanted to include that because we're going to raise the bar of our body's oxygen utilization of oxygen with the Shilajit for people that are wanting to keep their immune system at a high operation, or if they're doing things like athletes and trying to climb the mountain better or swim the laps better or ride the bike better or whatever, if they're already healthy. So you have both benefits that way. And I'm also going to just say this briefly, is that it's my understanding with what you do with the tree resin is you don't take it forever. You take a break. You take it for a period of time, and then maybe 2 or 3 weeks or something like that, which I wanted to hear from you on. And for a condition, like we got a question from Jim about how is it taken orally, what's the maintenance dose, and do you combine it with Shilajit? Well, I'll answer the third one, but you don't take the tree resin forever if you have a particular target. So could you go into a little bit of that? I know I rambled on a bit, but I wanted to make sure that was clear.
So when I'm working with the resins regularly, I'm taste testing it. So I'm getting it internally all the time during those times. And it actually can get rid of too much of your good biome, your good bacteria in your gut. It unless you took a lot of it continually, it won't bother it. But you can unbalance your gut by getting rid of too much of the bacteria. So what I would do in most people's situation is I would once every couple of months or so, for about a week to 10 days, a little before and a little after the full moon. During the full moon is when a lot of the parasites will reproduce. And so if you will take, start out at like 3 or 4 drops, and work your way up to what you find works well for your body, because everybody's body is a little different. Everybody's unique. And so I might take a tablespoon where somebody else might only take 3 drops. My body's very accustomed to the tree resin. I've drank a whole bottle of it at a time.
Now, which version of that, Mathew? Are you talking about the super cocoa resin?
The super probably is way to take the tree resin. You can take the pure resin, but it's stickier, thicker, and it doesn't go down as easy. So the super cocoa resin is just a very convenient way to take it. And olive oil and coconut oil are very good for the body, and so you're putting good stuff in the body.
Okay, between meals, without. Tell me if you're saying you start at 3 drops. Is that by body weight, or how do you do it?
I start at 3 drops. If you're talking a child, if you're going to give it to a child, I would do like 1 drop. But for a full grown man or woman, start at 3 drops and just work your way up. I've never had anybody that had any reaction, and we've had literally millions of customers over the years. So
you're saying that 3 drops increase by a drop a day, something like that, till you reach 20 drops?
Yeah, until you reach what level works for you. You could take a spoonful of it, and it's not going to hurt you if your body
is acclimated. That's right.
Yeah, if you have never done major detoxes, if you've never you don't live a very clean and pure life, you want to start out very, very low dose, because it's going to detox you. And if you detox too fast, we all know what happens. You can actually die.
That's what's happening with you, I think, and that's that's and one of the nice things is you see that we've got with the Shilajit as such a powerful natural source in our own country. We've got it here, which is so amazing. We don't have to import it from the Himalayan mountains, you know. I got another question here. I want to just jump to this ticks, right? Spirochetes. We got a question if you've ever had people that have asked about treating tick infections.
Yes,
And Lyme.
I've had Lyme's disease and tick fever. I didn't know what was the problem was. I now, every time I get a tick, even if it just barely bites me, I put tree resin on it, on that bite spot, for at least a week, at least 3 times a day. I keep it on there, and I haven't had any more issues. But years ago, I fought with it for years. I had no idea what was wrong with me. And then by process of elimination, I figured out what was going on, and I'd had some tests done and so forth. So, and it took a lot of years to heal from that naturally. I took our tree resins. I took all kinds of different herbs. I threw everything but the kitchen sink at it, and slowly but surely got better and no longer have any issues. But what I tell all of the people that I talk with now is that anytime you get bit by a tick, you need to put the tree resin, at least the super cocoa resin or the super pav sap. I prefer the pure resin, but I at least put one of the others on there at least 3 times a day, at least a week or 10 days, at least. And if there's still a spot there, if the tick really bit you good and you still have a spot, which anybody that gets bit by these ticks nowadays, they know that they're terrible. They make sores that just don't want to heal, and they're awful. So until that is completely healed, don't stop putting that tree resin on there, because what I think happens is that your body, to protect itself, inflames that area and creates scar tissue and everything around that to try to keep that from getting into your body. And
yes, we call it quarantining, and that's
yes,
the natural body's process of keeping it to go deeper into the tissues and into the body. That's correct.
right. And so I think that by keeping this on there for an extended period of time, you're gonna kill off the infection, and you're gonna heal that area completely. And I think that's very important to limit the likelihood or the possibility of being infected by the toxins that the and parasites that the parasites are giving you. You know, it's
So you're saying preventative measures that are done internally, you're less susceptible to getting Lyme's if you're doing this, because one, you've been taking it internally, and if you do get bit by a tick, it's isolated, and then you put it on topically with the salve,
yep.
or the cocoa resin for fast absorption. Is that super cocoa resin?
Yes, layers of protection here. If you're treating the inside and the outside, then you're limiting the possibility to the very, very least possible. You know, you're an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. If you can keep from having the problem in the first place with a simple application or a simple taking of something a few times a day, you're much better off than you are trying to undo the damage that is caused by these toxins and parasites and so forth.
Right. That's good. That's what we're all here doing that. You know, prevention. We're all part of that. So now's the time. I'd like to get questions from the group. That's been a very good starting point. So you're talking about the highest quality on the planet of this tree resin. You're talking about concentration and purity. We're talking about the multiple ways of using it for infections. and enhancing the immune system using it preventative, prophylactically. We've got also to the unique things that are happening, like in my case, I smell better. I like my smell, and all. I mean, there's other things that we could probably attribute, but for this particular, introduction to what you're offering, I'd like to see if there's any questions I have from the group now. So if you do take off your video, and I'll bring in Jim McCanney for a brief moment here, but if we could have any questions that the group has for Mathew that I haven't addressed, now is the time to do that. And I'll ask one question while I'm waiting.
I will show the
Oh, you
this
got it there.
This here is the pure resin. You can see how it's just like real runny honey, but that is pure heart pocket tree resin.
Got it. And that's so that if it's pure resin, that doesn't have the olive oil and cocoa.
Oh, this is exactly how it came out of the tree.
Oh my gosh.
The only thing done to this is I have a natural process that uses nature, takes care of it, filters it itself. It filters itself.
Really?
And I strain it through very fine stainless steel screen, and that's it. That's all that's done to it. And this is as pure as you can possibly get.
Got it.
There's nothing like it.
So I'm gonna bring in Dr. Elke from Germany. She's got a question for you. Please.
Yes, hello. Hello to everybody, and good evening. Here it is 7:30 p.m. Good morning to you. It's better to say. I only have a question because I don't understand in the beginning. Maybe I misunderstood. You said that the tree resin is thousands of years old. Thousands of years old tree resins for me is amber. The question is, where do you find these very old tree resin, and from which trees are these resin?
Thank you, Elke. Let's see what Mathew says. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So what forms amber is when a tree is damaged or injured or falls over and breaks open, and one of these heart pockets leak out the resin, and that resin is exposed to light and air and water, and then it is usually buried in the ground, and then it has pressure on it, and it fossilizes. It turns into basically stone. So it dries out and hardens. In the heart of the tree is live, and so is the resin. The resin is live. It's like honey. Honey is live until you open up the comb. Once you open up the comb of honey, then the honey wants to crystallize, but it won't crystallize when it's in the comb unless you damage that cone. As soon as you damage that cone, it wants to turn into crystal. And this is what happens in the trees. Now, in the heart pocket of the tree, you will have a little bit of crystallization a lot of times on the edge of the pocket, but that will protect the rest of it. It creates like a protective layer. The pocket seals itself off. The tree will quite often build a skin-like layer around inside the pocket. And if it doesn't build that skin-like layer, then it will crystallize some of the resin to allow it to seal itself off. And that keeps the rest of the resin just like it was. These heart pockets are in the heart of the tree that have started forming when the tree was very young, a few hundred years old, and some of these trees are 6,000 years old now. And so those pockets have been there for thousands of years and have the resin in them for thousands of years, but they've not been exposed to the elements, to the light and the air and the water and so forth that break it down, that slowly change it.
Is there any use of amber in because you're using the resin, different antifungals, but once it's been exposed to the air, does it have any properties to it once it reaches that?
It still has properties. It's still beneficial. I mean, you can take amber. Amber has been ground up and taken internally, and it's used to make necklaces out of, because it I believe, now this is just what I believe, I think it holds certain frequencies, and I think that frequency is healing in itself. That's why I'm so interested in what you do. You're taking and you're charging these things with frequencies, and I'm very interested to see what happens with the tree resin. And
we're giving all the levels of tissue the imprinting of the frequencies that enhance the delivery of the Shilajit. That's correct.
Yeah, and so when we can take that same technology and apply that to the resin, I think it's going to be very miraculous. Frankincense and myrrh are tree resins. They're spoken of all over the scriptures. And I think that the frankincense and myrrh that we use now, which is the petrified or the dried out version, I think that is a lot weaker than the original that was used. I think that in scriptural times that they were using the same heart pocket resins that we're using now, the same exact resins. The ark was sealed with resin, and I think that it was sealed with liquid resin, like we have yes. And so I think that we're really on some groundbreaking paths here of revealing some very powerful truths of how to heal ourselves by using these resins and charging them with certain frequencies, and using them in conjunction with other things that the resin can carry into the body and into the cells and through the blood-brain barrier. Now, I do think we need to be careful not to get the wrong kind of toxins or whatever, because I think that could be a very dangerous thing because of the ability to pass the blood-brain barrier. I think that we have to be aware of that and be cautious not to get the wrong kind of toxins.
Well, we have history with that. In fact, the second batch in the 90s with Dr. Ott and I, getting the Shilajit from the Himalayas, it was contaminated with lead and mercury, and it was making people sick. And you very appropriately mentioned this, because typically when we have testing done, and we've had the testing done on these things for ourselves, but when you're talking about a pocket 1,000 years old, it hadn't been exposed to any of these environmental toxins, and it's pure, and it's the same that was, or a tree that's 2,500 years old, right? That's the same resin that they used in ancient times or during biblical times. So I very much will want whatever substances that are going in my body to be tested for purity, or knowing that these sources are pure. So you make a very important point, because if we're going through the blood-brain barrier with a toxin, it's assuming that the substances that we're getting from some of these other resins that are part of the circulatory system of the tree. I mean, that it's going through the tree very quickly, and it's bound to pick up things like radiation that's floating around, or whatever the hell they're spraying on us. I mean, like aluminum and all these horrible things that can come into the tree. You don't want that going into your brain. What is Alzheimer's? Brain tangles. And why does it, and what happens in this case? Well, if it breaks the blood-brain barrier and you've got a toxin going in there. Go ahead.
Tree good detoxifier, so it's possible that by it passing through the blood-brain barrier, it is detoxing the brain of those toxins too. So it's possible that it could work both ways.
Okay, we've got Dr. Elke raising her hand. Please join in again with this. Okay.
Only one question, allow me, please. Ask me, where do you find these very old and valuable tree resin? Where do you find it? In the soil?
No, it's found in the heart of the tree. It's very deep in the tree. Some of the pockets will a foot in the tree. Some of them will be 8 or 10 feet into the center of the tree. So they're very, very, very old, and they can be very low on the tree. They can be very high on the tree. It's an art, and I can't even explain to you how to find it, because you can't explain it. It's like trying to explain color to a blind man that has never seen anything. It's just not going to happen. The easiest way to explain it is to think of like if you have a loaf of bread and you cut that loaf of bread open, and in the middle you have this little pocket, this little air pocket. Well, imagine that only being tree resin, filled with tree resin. It's a pocket that is filled with this tree resin, and you have to find that pocket and you have to drill into it. And now that is the one time where the contamination can happen, is in the gathering, the drilling in or cutting in, and then having to collect it. It is exposed to a little air. It is exposed to a little light. There's just no way to avoid that. And then you've got the drill bit, that of course, it's been out here in the world, it could have all kinds of little things on it, but the tree resin is antibacterial, antifungal, and antiviral. So it doesn't seem to be a problem. The only problem that we have ever had is people that are on very high doses of steroids and antibiotics. Those two things, when combined, you want to stay away from tree resin, because those things wipe out our Father's work, his natural immune system that he gave us to protect ourselves. It wipes that out and starts over again. And the tree resin tries to build that, and so they work against each other. It's like two armies coming against each other rather than fighting with each other. Rather than helping each other overcome the enemy, which is the toxin or the foreign substance. Rather than trying to work together to overcome that, it works against itself. And so it causes this conflict within yourself. A house divided against itself shall not stand. So did that answer your question?
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
You.
And we have another question here from James McCanny. Please go ahead. James? Well, I think he may have dropped off. Let me see here. Okay, so what I'd like to do here is conclude for now, and then what we'll do is a part 2. But I got to send this out to the group, of course, and let me put on my video again. You will be getting some contact from the group through email and also calling, and this address you gave. So we'll just briefly let everyone know that I did send the different products that are offered in that the attachment, okay, that Sarah gave us. And if there is a way to give us an indication when your website is up, just let us know so I can send it to the group and let them know they can make orders that way as well. Also, most of my, in fact, all of my guests are open to getting questions later on because they will, like I say, be listening to this later in the month or in the next month when they get to it. Busy schedules, right? But if you're okay with that, then I'd like to just ask that if you get these questions through by way of them calling Sarah and you getting back to them, we can then keep this the communication lines open, right? So
Right.
that would be very helpful. And are you okay with that, Mathew?
Yes, yes, and when if Sarah can't answer your questions, she'll give me, the contact for whoever it is that has the questions, and I will get back with them, and I have no problem spending the time to educate, to teach, to share the information,
Okay.
that they can make their best decision themselves and choose for themselves.
Yes.
How-
Okay. Then thank you for that. I'm going to conclude for now. We don't have any more questions. I'll get James's question. He can send it to the email at the tree resin, but that tree resin email is working correctly. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's Pruitt Tree Resin Ministries.com, isn't it? Or at gmail.com. Yeah. Pruitt's Tree Resin.
Okay. All right. So I want to again thank you very much for your time. This was it's a lot of fun for me. I love talking like this.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. So this can also be spread if I send you the link to the recording so that you can share with your customers and my patients and everyone else's patients. We spoke of knowledge and our experience, and this has come at a very valuable time. I mean, it's very valuable at this time. Okay, I personally think that this is one of the missing pieces to many other very complicated issues that are being, let's just say, grossly mistreated. And James McCanny just joined us again, so I'm going to see if he can ask his question before we go. Can you hear me, Jim? Let's try it one more time. James McCanny, by the way, is he's got his water filtration system that is superior. Can you take yourself off mute, Jim, if you can hear me?
Yeah, sorry, I just dropped there. So I missed like a couple minutes here because my internet went out. Can you
Okay.
hear me?
I can, and I can bring you in. First, if you do have a question for Mathew before we go, and also remind everybody about your offer, about your MR5 offer. But first, the question. Do you have a question for Mathew right now?
Yeah, I do. I've got just a quick comment. I was in Mexico when I was young. I was out in a like a sugarcane field, and I was walking along, and I brushed against what ended up being a tick ball. These extremely small, but it's a ball about 2-3 inches in diameter, and I mean, I was covered with these little ticks. So I went to the local pharmacia, and they gave me turpentine, very concentrated, and I had to shower in this, and it got rid of all of them. Plus,
Yep.
I didn't end up with any bites. So anyway, I just wanted to comment. And they would take the cattle and run them through a trough in the ground full of water with turpentine to get rid of the ticks because they ended up. So anyway, that's one comment. The other thing about the frequency, my background, I'm a nuclear physicist, basically, is my background. But the idea that something that you would wear has a frequency, a resonant frequency with the body, is like a singer singing a pitch note that would resonate with a glass, and the glass starts resonating across the room. It's the same thing, and that resonating frequency would then come back into the body. It's like a feedback system. Anyway, I just wanted to make that comment. And so I'm sure more research, there's probably people that know a lot more than that, than I do about that.
Yeah, Bill,
Anyway,
thank you for those two additions, most appropriate. Uh, I want to, for the sake of time, and we'll of course expound on those two issues as well, because Lyme's is a big issue, tick exposure. There's a lot of nasty bugs out there. I mean, in our water supply, it's amazing how much is allowed to come in through our water supply. And I want to segue into that because James has the best system I've ever seen in terms of the micron filtration, the intelligence in terms of the pre-filtration, and the outcome of the purest water for your whole house. So I just briefly want him to mention to the group as a reminder that you're offering something very special. So please, just can you recap that for us?
yeah. So anyway, part of detoxification is having clean water, both in the shower. That's where you get the big dose of toxins every day, is in the shower. Most people don't realize that. Through the skin, through breathing in the vapors, plus in the kitchen, of course, which we all know about drinking water. So what I've developed is a whole house water filter that removes really the highest percentage of toxins from the water. So people were detoxing, and I want to present this to the doctor group. I have a special, and it's what we call the best steel package. It's the MR5 whole house water filter, the UV sterilizer, which comes afterwards, and then an extra pack of filter elements. And I sell this to the public right now, or commercially, for $2,350 basically. And so what I want to do is make an offer to the doctors so that they can get these systems to their clients for detoxification. So it would be an offer of $1,500. You get this best deal package where you would put this in your own house. And so you see the benefits. Plus, you get another MR5 to show in the office. That's another $1,300 value. And then plus you get to become an affiliate in our affiliate program, where you can either take a 12% commission or pass that savings on to your customer. Plus we give your customers basically $400 off on the unit. And so anyway, the only thing we need from the doctors is to send in your email address. If you want to be part of the affiliate program, it would be a PayPal email address so we can pay you. And if you don't care to be part of the affiliate program and pass that savings to your customer, then just any email address will send you the details and all of the information about this package. But just briefly, that's the offer. So $1,500 for all of this. You get to install a system in your own home. You get the extra one to show clients in your office, plus become part of the affiliate program. And all we need is your email address. So email to Dr. Dean and just say, yeah, I'm in, and we'll send you the information and get you set up.
Yeah, spectacular. We can't underestimate the risk of the water damage and contamination, PCBs, whatever is not being tested for. And even when the tests do come back, they're very, let's just say they vary a lot. There's a lot of range, right, in terms of what we see as far as contaminants. But we'll bring that up, and thank you. And I would like to just one last quick question here before we go, Mathew. For one, I'm really glad that we were able to see you. We were having some difficulty with getting your phone to work, but I'm really glad we overcame that issue. So the question is in relationship to the turnaround. If people are sending in a check to you, you do have the supply to send out with all those different versions, and people can ask you about what's appropriate for their situation. And I know you do a lot of one-on-one, but it's my vision that we make this available to patients based on what you have in terms of your supply. So is there anything that you do have that we should or don't have for that matter? Is there anything you don't have in stock, or do you have all the items that are on your product list? So
The items that are on the product list that Sarah made up the other day are that we have all those. And I can make more when the stock gets low, I just make some more. I have plenty of resin right now. I have somewhere around 1,500 gallons of it. So
great. That's really great. Okay, so Elke, if you decide to go out in your Black Forest and look for one of these trees and try and get some yourself, maybe you and Mathew could connect and talk about how you can hunt it down. Okay, so again, and you do.
But which trees are these spruces only?
We don't give out that information anymore because we used to. I used to just tell people I'd ask them what part of the world, what part of the, where they were from and live. And I would tell them what trees they could go and look for. However, we had to stop doing that because the government, not only did they make it very illegal to touch or to do anything with these trees, but then they went and they destroyed the forests. Literally, they've destroyed the forests that we used to.
Trees.
Yeah, that had these ancient trees.
Talk about a crime to humanity. Maybe if you two can cook up on a personal call, that might be averted. In other words, Elke is an honorable doctor in Germany, and she's very very intelligent in these natural ways. So I just want to, maybe you two can get hooked up.
I'll give you this. If you will go and find you different conifers, that's you're gonna find what you're looking for eventually. The conifers have beneficial resins. It's just that's one of the perks of conifers, and they have beneficial resins. So go find you a conifer and start doing some sampling.
Hey, that reminds me. Remember when with this pine needle tea craze started to come out, and that it would minimize the SARS-CoV-2 virus. Do you? I mean, I kind of got a kick out of that because I knew what the terpenes in the needles. Okay.
Yeah, well, it does work. It's effective. It works. But there again, your terpenes that are in your needles are a sap resin. They're a low grade. They have a low percentage of terpenes, a low quality of it, and it's very highly contaminated by all the chemtrails, everything that's in the air and the water.
Yes.
Yes. Because it's right there on the surface. It's not from ancient times, it's from modern, very, very recent. That
contamination issue is much higher as a result of that. So we prefer this ancient version. Okay, time has we could go on and on, but we're going to have another time on this, perhaps a little later into the fall, a part 2. And I appreciate you very much, Mathew. The group thanks you. You'll be hearing from other practitioners that will hear the recording, and we'll just get those connections made. But for now, this has been wonderful, and I'm going to sign off, and we'll let everybody know mid-month next month about what my next meeting's going to be on. And Mathew, you're invited to join us. If you wanted to listen in on what the topic is, you're welcome to join us as well. So
wonderful.
Thank you, everybody. If you could just send your rest of your questions via email to me. Oh, one last thing. Yes, Elke.
I only want to thank.
Oh, yeah.
This scientist to thank.
Absolutely. Yeah, and can you show us your face here briefly for Mathew so he can see who you are? Because he's got that opportunity. Can you show yourself?
Pardon?
Your video.
Understand.
Turn on your video for just a moment for us. Can you do that?
Yes, I will do. Wait, that's me.
Oh,
That's
there you go.
me in my kitchen. Hi.
So Matt, when you get
Okay.
connected with Elke, you can know who you're talking to, okay?
And this is my husband.
Yeah, you got a wonderful lady there.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I know.
You're,
I
you're
love to.
very, you're very blessed. Very blessed. Spread the love. I got it.
Okay.
Okay. We were going to sign off.
Regards to America.
Okay, thank you, and signing off. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.